Hello there. Welcome into Spencer Talks NASCAR episode 2. How's it going, y'all? Spencer Urquhart here, ready to get back into this NASCAR talk, y'all. Episode 1 was a great success, previewing the 2024 season as well as the Daytona 500. Really glad to dip my toes in the water with this NASCAR podcasting stuff. It was a lot of fun, even more fun since I picked the winner correctly for the Daytona 500. William Byron had to give myself a little pat on the back there because that was trying to pick that race was tough. I'll admit I got lucky because they had a lot of good cars that got taken out of that thing. I'll have more thoughts on that here in just a bit. But yeah, just thanks to everyone that tuned in the first episode. We'll be back this year every week here on Spencer Talks NASCAR. That's the plan, and we're gonna stick to it. Really excited to be doing this with y'all. And yeah, Daytona, I gotta say, it lived up to the hype. Gonna review Daytona here real quick. Just kind of put it to bed. Gonna just discuss who did well, who didn't, and then look ahead to Atlanta. We'll also be power ranking the top 10 drivers. Gonna have my power rankings. Seems like everybody that follows NASCAR does the power rankings these days. And I saw some of the lists that had me like, what the hell are they thinking? They had some odd power rankings out there. So I'll have mine. I'm not saying they're perfect, but take them for what they're worth, and then you can debate amongst yourselves on who you think the top 10 drivers are. And then we'll have a little stock down, stock up segment. Won't have too much as far as hot takes with that because we're just getting going. But yeah, got a packed show today. Let's get right into it, y'all. And we'll start off by, like I said, reviewing the Daytona 500 here, recapping this thing. It was a very fun race for sure. Unfortunately, the ending was kind of bleh. I mean, for selfish reasons, I was really glad William Byron won for the sake of I had placed a pretty nice wager on him as far as didn't really put much money. It was only $10, but paid out over 200. I believe I got him at 22-1 instead of the original 18-1. And I was like, when I saw the price drop, I was like, I'm going to double down because I'd also had a ticket on him, a $5 ticket at 18-1. So made a decent little chunk of change thanks to Willie B. None of my other bets hit though, because it was just such a wild race. Had Tyler Reddick, Chris Buescher tickets, I believe, to finish top 5. Austin Cindric to finish top 10. None of those hit, even though a lot of those guys ran good. Just the way it ended up, and then anyone that bet Keselowski or Logano or Blaney, those Fords were so good still. Some people thought with the new body style that Ford might drop off a little bit at super speedways, but nah, man, Ford was still really good. Toyota was a bit of a disappointment. I mean, just look at the results here. Yeah, Christopher Bell got a top 3, but outside of C-Bell, what other Toyota and Bubba and then Legacy? Okay, so I guess as far as the laps led, Toyota just didn't really lead many laps other than C-Bell. He led 22. I believe that was the second most to Logano. But outside of C-Bell, who really stepped up? Because Denny Hamlin had a really good car, but he didn't really come up till later and then got caught up in the big wreck. And then Truex kind of a no-show, Ty Gibbs. So thought Toyota would be a little bit stronger as far as running up front. Because, I mean, and then Chevy was impressive, I thought. All the Hendrick cars were fast, ran up front. Kyle Busch had a rocket ship, man. I was loving this race as a Kyle Busch fan. Disappointing ending, unfortunately, for him. He played it smart, I feel like, kind of laid back, let the big one happen. But him and Chase Elliott, I've tried to hook up there at the end, but no one went with them on a third lane where then they just slipped all the way to the back. I was like, damn it. Sometimes these plate races just don't shake your way, and it didn't shake Kyle's way yet again. His 19th start, 20th attempt at the Daytona 500 did not work out. So had a really good car though, which this is a little spoiler alert. He will be among my best bets when we get to that's another thing we'll do when we preview Atlanta, go over the best bets for this week and have the DraftKings sports book odds up when we get there. But yeah, Daytona, man, it was crazy. I got to give it a hot take here for y'all. I'm just going to start this thing off hot and heavy. The thing that pissed me off the most about the Daytona 500 was I know it was super close, super competitive, And a lot of people are biggest thing they complain about is the finish. I'm not even really that upset about the finish. I mean, the white flag happened. I mean, it is what it is. Caution came out. You know, you got to freeze the field. Whoever was out front, which was William Byron. The thing, though, that aggravates me about this is that it almost ended up Alex Bowman, and Alex Bowman was the one that pretty much triggered that big one that took out all the good Fords and Denny Hamlin, a bunch of the other power players. And to me, there should be some sort of repercussions from that. Same thing with the early in the race where Brad Keselowski got in the, I believe it was John Hunter Nemechek, and triggered that early wreck for 6 laps in that took out guys like Harrison Burton, Jimmy Johnson, no real serious contenders, thankfully. But I mean, hell, those guys maybe could have gotten top 10s, maybe top 5s. But my point here is that to me, NASCAR, I know they don't want to do it. I know they're, boys have at it, let the drivers police themselves. But to me, at these plate tracks is getting out of control with these guys pushing too hard, causing these big wrecks that I hate to say it, one of these days someone's going to get hurt. I mean, Ryan Blaney freaking hit hard yet again. I mean, he's taking all these big hits. I mean, I hate to bring it up here, try to, keep it fun here on this show and just talk about what's going on, but I just got to get this off my chest. I mean, like Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the concussions, Kurt Busch. I mean, hell, Bowman himself last year dealing with injuries. I believe he's had concussion issues in the past, and yet he triggers this huge wreck, and yet there's no repercussions from it. Just gets to keep going, gets a second place finish, almost won the damn Daytona 500. And to me, I'm not saying you should be parked for something like that, because it is an accident. I mean, intentional wrecks, yeah, that's different. But for something like this, no, you shouldn't get parked. But to me, you should get sent to the rear of the field. Plain and simple. If you're the one that triggers the big one, if the car that causes I don't care, 5-10 car wreck, I'd say, is there any wreck at these big plate tracks, to me, you should get sent to the tail end of the longest line, like kind of like with if you speed on pit road while pitting under caution. I think it should be a similar penalty to that. I think there's got to start being some sort of penalties handed out, or else this is just going to keep happening and someone's going to get hurt. I mean, to me, they need to take control of this while they can, but the problem with NASCAR, I love NASCAR, believe me, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't, but I feel like their sanctioning body sometimes kind of, with these rules, they're a little, I'm not going to get too deep into that here. I'm still new to this, don't want to ruffle any feathers here, new to this NASCAR podcasting scene, but yeah, just wanted to get that off my chest. That was the thing that annoyed me the most. And that's been something that's been a problem. I mean, Ryan Blaney's been the most vocal about it, been very frustrated. I'm with him, man. It's ridiculous how these guys can just just nothing happens after you cause this freaking huge wreck. And again, like the Keselowski thing, I mean, John Hunter kind of moved up. That one you maybe could have said, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all a judgment call. I mean, NASCAR, it's like the NFL, right? I mean, there's judgment calls all the time. And I mean, life goes on. People don't like it, but life goes on, to me, they should give the NASCAR officials a little more power in that regard, as far as being able to say if someone did too much with a push, because they're going so freaking fast and in these tight packs. But anyway, I think y'all get the point about that. Let's finish recapping the race here. Some guys I feel like that get a stock up for sure would be these Hendrick boys up front there. I mean, like all the points they racked up there, Byron and Bowman. Anytime you can come to these plate tracks and rack up a lot of points, that's huge. So, good for them. Obviously, Byron winning gets his playoff spot clinched and showing that 2023 was no fluke, that he's still one of the best in the business. So, yeah, Willie B, great start for him, as well as his teammate there, Alex Bowman, even though he kind of caused that big one. I'm not saying he did it on purpose. I don't think any of these guys do that stuff on purpose, but should maybe be some penalties about that. But anyway, before I go back down that rabbit hole, Corey LaJoie gets a stock up, man, even though he kind of was Austin Cindric wasn't too happy with him at the end. But I mean, again, I don't know. Give your thoughts on that. I'm not gonna I keep wanting to go back to it. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to stay focused here on the driver's stocks here. But yeah, Corey LaJoy gets a stock up though. I mean, it's a top 5 here, and it's just showing that him running up front at plate tracks is not a fluke. That he's a guy that when you go to these drafting tracks, that he's someone to watch. I mean, it's happened too many times with him to just chalk it up as, oh, he just got a lucky run. You know, he's a small team. He ain't gonna keep that up. Well, doesn't matter that he's a small team. He's legit at these kind of tracks, and so kind of like the way Michael McDowell was, you know, on that run. Which I mean, McDowell's still good here. I mean, he had the front row start, but he's someone that gets a stock down, man. Just front row motorsports, man. It kind of let him down there, had a mechanical issue. So McDowell, unfortunately, even though he got out to that good start, he's one that gets a stock down. Because I mean, to me, mechanical, that's in the days NASCAR, that's no excuse. You know, it's one thing if you get caught in a wreck, but you cannot be having mechanical issues at these plate tracks. Same with Justin Haley. Rick Ware Racing had an issue, and Haley was running really good, but Rick Ware Racing, I mean, let's be real, they're the worst among the chartered teams, in my opinion. And so Justin Haley, I think he'll have some good runs as the year goes on, but early on, there's going to be a lot of growing pains there, even though Haley's a pretty talented driver. But I think he's in it for the long haul. He's only 24, I think, signed a multi-year contract there. So, you know, going to be some kinks to iron out, but I think eventually they could be pretty good. But for the immediate future, you know what I mean, they get a little stock down. And as far as guys that actually ran pretty good in the final finishing order, but to me, it kind of left some meat on the bone considering the kind of cars they had. Ty Gibbs and Chris Buescher, you know, it being that JGR, Bell ran really good. Hamlin flashed at times. I mean, I guess I could kind of say that about Truex, but Truex looked like, I mean, Truex ran up front some. Ty Gibbs, though, I mean, he didn't get any stage points and just, I don't know, he didn't show out. I mean, he just was very just mid the whole day. He didn't show me that he took that next step. He did really well at the Clash, but I mean, the Clash is just a freaking exhibition race. That's why I thought it was hilarious that one of the power rankings I looked at still had Ty Gibbs in their top 10. They had done it after the Clash. I mean, the way he ran at Daytona did not impress me. He still looked a little gun shy out there. And so to me, Ty Gibbs gets the stock down. You know, I still have high hopes for him for the year, but it's kind of disappointed. And Chris Buescher, I mean, his teammate Brad Keselowski worked his way to the front, but Buescher was kind of quiet. I mean, I don't know if like he just seemed a little I don't know, maybe he was jet lagged because he had to fly to had a birth of, it was his second child, actually. I got that wrong last week. My apologies. The birth of his second child for Chris Buescher, but he couldn't. He missed Friday and I mean, they didn't really get to practice much because of the rain, but you know, that could have affected him a little bit, but just disappointing there. He's normally always a big contender here at these plate races. So kind of a bit of a stock down for him. And then also Noah Gragson. I wanted to shout out Noah Gragson there for getting the top 10. Him and his teammate Chase Briscoe, kind of a war of attrition there. Neither got stage points, but they survived to the end and got some top 10s. Gragson, though, normally does pretty good at these plate tracks. Legacy also did good, their first ever race where they both got top 10s there with John Hunter and Eric Jones. So Gragson is the one that kind of caught my eye there. I think that was good for the kid to get a top 10. He's someone that crashed out a lot last year. So for him to survive a war of attrition and record a top 10, that was big. That was big for Noah Gragson. He's another one that, as far as long shot plays this week at Atlanta, that I think could do pretty good. So yeah, I think that's going to do it here for this Daytona recap, y'all. It was pretty good one. I had a few things I wasn't too happy about, but overall it was really fun. I love the 3-wide action, a lot of 3-wide action. That was really cool to see. So overall, solid Daytona 500. Also just wish we all want a green flag finish. You know, it always sucks when it ends under yellow. Now, second year in a row that happened. Hopefully next year we'll get a green finish, but can't have everything that you want. You know, overall, to a fun race there at Daytona. So let's move on down to the power rankings here before we get to our Atlanta race preview. I'm just going to have them scrolling here And a ticker, so y'all can see I got Willie V at the top. We'll go 10-1, though, to break these down here. Number 10, I've got Chase Elliott. So for all you Chase Elliott fans watching, well, congrats. I got your guy in the top 10. I think Chase is getting slept on by a lot of media outlets because, I mean, I know he had the down year last year, but, I mean, even though he didn't make the playoffs, he was still running top 10 a lot of weeks. They didn't have the race-winning speed that they normally do, but they were still very much a contending team. He didn't have the kind of fall-off like Alex Bowman did last year. I mean, Elliott was still pretty competitive. So I feel like people gave him a little too much grief for his down year in 2023 because, I mean, he was a freaking Cup champion not all that long ago. 2020, yeah, I mean, that's less than 5 years ago. I mean, this guy still got what it takes to win. I mean, he was freaking dominant in 2022. I think he won the most races and made the championship 4. So I find it silly that some of these sites are already acting like Elliott's, and he won a stage. I think he won stage 1 at Daytona. He's someone that I feel like is going to bounce back in a big way this year. I said that in the season preview. I had him making the playoffs, and I mean, him and Kyle Busch, they just had bad luck as far as why they didn't, have better results at Daytona. But as far as like the car, I mean, Elliott looked very strong. He led laps, so I think Chase Elliott's back. I mean, he could be a pretty good play this week at Atlanta. He's kind of like the people's champ kind of guy. So it's like a lot of times his betting odds aren't that great. But I mean, it wouldn't shock me if he went up and won this weekend. I mean, he's legit, y'all. Don't sleep on Chase Elliott. Number 9, I got Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick always seems to disappoint at the plate tracks, man. Just, I don't know what it is. He just can't seem to get the mojo at these kind of tracks. He runs well pretty much everywhere else, but these plate tracks, man, he just, I don't know. He just can't seem to get it. But I mean, he's so good at a lot of other places, especially intermediates and road courses to where, I mean, he's still in my top 10. I'm not going to overreact too much because of what happened in the Daytona 500. And he actually ran a pretty good Daytona 500. He won the dual race. I mean, he ran up front a lot of the night, just got caught up in that big one there at the end. So, or the first big one. So he got a bad finish, but I mean, he's still one of the best drivers in the garage. So 23-11, team that's trending up. So I'm not panicking about Tyler Reddick. Number 8, I got Kyle Busch. If he'd have won, would probably have him higher, but I mean, he didn't. So, and coming into the year, there are some questions surrounding Kyle Busch and RCR. RCR really fell off the map at the end of last season. They didn't have the speed to hang with the big dogs, but Kyle Busch definitely had the speed at the Daytona 500. He just kind of had bad luck at the end. Almost had a disaster strike with the freaking wheel coming off. That's another thing that, I mean, that's an indictment on his pit crew. His pit crew there has got to do better. That's kind of I may have had him a little higher on this list, but I mean, the team as a whole, his 8 team, kind of let him down. I mean, he sped. I mean, I love Kyle Busch, but boy, I guess he's never going to learn. He's been in the Cup Series now like 20 years and still speeding on pit road. That's just like his Achilles heel. But the pit crew, I mean, when he was with JGR, he had arguably the best pit crew in the garage. A lot of people forget how good. I mean, he was really good, obviously, but his pit crew at Gibbs was usually always one of the best up until the end there, when it kind of seemed like they kind of sabotaged him there at the end of 2022 when he was a lame duck. But I mean, this year though, I think he's still on pace for a good year. I mean, hell, I picked him to make the championship 4. May have been a bit of a homer pick, but I think he's in a good spot this week. The RCR's got a good restrictor plate program, good drafting program there. So like, I think he's gonna probably be a little higher on this list heading into Las Vegas. Same goes for the next guy up here, number 7, Joey Logano. Someone that coming into this year, I was like, hey, he got chopped early at the playoffs. Is he gonna be as good this year? I mean, hell, he was really good at Daytona, led the most laps, and even though he got caught up in the wreck, just showed that he ain't lost a step. I mean, Joey Logano is still one of the big dogs here. Definitely still a top 10 driver. Could very well work his way up into the top 5 with a good result at Atlanta. Was last year's winner of this Ambetter Health 400. So we'll see if he can defend his race title there. He's the favorite right now, co-favorite over at DraftKings with Denny Hamlin. So at number 6, got Ross Chastain. I know he pissed some people off, but he didn't really piss me off because, I mean, his move was, I mean, he was just kind of going for it. He went for a hole. He didn't really, I mean, yeah, he technically caused the last big one by going for it like that, but I mean, you could really blame LaJoy more as far as getting into Cindric, and then that's kind of what got into Ross. I mean, Ross saw a hole, went for it, and not many people are criticizing him, so I'm not either. I mean, I don't see what he did was wrong. It was obviously bold, but I mean, it's a freaking last lap of the Daytona 500. You got to do what you got to do at that point. Cards on the table. I mean, what, what do you expect? I mean, got to, if you see an opportunity to win, you got to try to take it. So, good deal there with Ross, showing that he's back trying to win races, and he won that last race at Phoenix last year. So I think Ross Chastain is on his way to a big year this year. So got him firmly in the top 10 there at number 6. Number 5 got Denny Hamlin. Still got him top 5. I think Denny, he won the Clash. Led some laps in the 500. He's still going to be in the mix. I picked him to make the championship 4, and I still think he very well could. He's someone that's, I mean, we know what Denny Hamlin is. He's annoying with his podcast and all that, but he usually backs it up. He's still yet to win a championship, but week to week, he's one of the toughest in the garage. So gotta give credit where credit's due. Number 4, Christopher Bell. C. Bell had a really good Daytona 500, won dual 2, and then finished 3rd and led the second most laps. So even though he doesn't really care for that style of racing, the bump drafting stuff, he seems to have mastered it, and he's also really good at road courses and short tracks. So he's someone that, I think he's someone that's with JGR. I mean, he's looking like he's on the path to stardom. I mean, you can make a case he's like the second most talented driver in the garage behind Kyle Larson. I mean, Christopher Bell's skill set is really good. It's just a matter of time before he starts winning more races. So I'm thinking this could be the year. He wasn't one of my championship 4, but definitely a round of 8, I feel like, for sure. I just feel like he's gotten, I don't want to say lucky, but kind of, the last 2 years in the playoffs, but he'll definitely be around toward the end of the year. And he's someone that, I mean, he's great. Number 3, Kyle Larson. He was my pick to win the championship. And somebody probably, why don't you have him at 1? Well, I mean, last year, I mean, we kind of have to base some of this off last year. I mean, let's be real. I mean, last year, Kyle Larson did a little too much. I mean, he was great, but he wrecked a lot and stuff. So had a decent Daytona 500, but he overall last season wasn't quite as sharp as his teammate William Byron. So William Byron won at Daytona, so to me, I can't, even though I think over the long run Larson will end up better, at this moment I can't rank Larson ahead of Byron, even though I think Larson's the most talented, as a team and stuff. I just think the 24 team's a little bit better than the 5 team right now. And you're probably like, well, gee, we got Blaney over him. But, well, Blaney, let's be real, y'all, the 12 car, let's get to him, Ryan Blaney. I mean, he's the defending champion, and they looked really sharp at Daytona. I mean, even though he got freaking junked in the duels and the race itself, I mean, he was up front the whole time. I mean, he's someone that has proven himself. I mean, he's a proven winner at these kind of tracks. So he's definitely someone I could see stepping up and winning this week at Atlanta. And, I mean, we all know what he can do at a lot of different tracks. I mean, he's won at pretty much every kind of different track. So, Ryan Blaney, defending series champion. I think he's another one that's yet to really, he won the championship last year, but he could still get even better. He's still just kind of hitting his stride as a great driver. And at number 1 got Willie P. William Byron, our Daytona 500 winner, made the championship 4 last year. Actually got last year's championship 4, all 4 of them there, 1 through 4, because, I mean, none of them have shown that they shouldn't be top 4. I mean, Willie B. freaking just won Daytona. He won the most races last year. He's got all the momentum. And he drives for the best team in the garage. Sorry, JGR. I mean, let's be real. Hendrick right now is the top. They're the top dog. So, Willie B, man, I feel like he's that dude right now. He's at the top of his game. Just won the biggest race in the sport, and he's number 1. I mean, any list that doesn't have him number 1 is silly. So I think even when I went through all those lists, kind of annoyed, but I think one thing myself and all of them can agree on is that Willie B. William Byron is NASCAR's top driver at the moment. But of course, all that can change if things go wild at Atlanta. I mean, you never know. So we'll see. But Willie B right now, William Byron currently number one. But let's get to Atlanta. Speaking of Atlanta, let's preview the Ambetter Health 400 and get to the showing it kind of here from a betting standpoint. Gonna look at the odds here. Gonna talk about. Just gonna go through the field here. Who are the favorites, mid-pack drivers, long shots, etc. So at the top here, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano. Can't really argue with that. I mean, Logano should be the slight favorite. I think he's a little better value here than Hamlin. Probably not touching either one. I don't never touch the favorite at a plate track. Although Austin Hill proved that theory wrong in the Xfinity race last week. He was a heavy favorite and ended up winning that one for the third year in a row. But this is a Cup Series, y'all. There's the big league. So yeah, I wouldn't bet on either of these favorites. But I mean, Logano won it last year, so would it shock me if he won it again? Probably not. Ryan Blaney, C. Bell, and Brad Keselowski all at 11-1. All heavy hitters there. Can't really argue with that. If I had to take one of these three, I'd probably lean Blaney. Although Keselowski, man, he's knocking on the door of winning his first race as an RFK owner driver. So yeah, it's gonna be close, but probably Blaney, man. Blaney is so poised at these plate tracks. Like he's not getting turned into a wall. He's up there, man. Ryan Blaney. I mean, just look at that Savage movie made to win stage 2. Like Ryan Blaney of the Daytona 500, that is. Ryan Blaney is a beast. So yeah, let's see here. William Byron, last week's winner there at 12-1, along with Chase Elliott. Can't argue with either. It was Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. Now this, I like to see these numbers. 14-1 for the Kyle and Kyle show. Now that's value. I mean, because it's like compared to all these, I mean, to me, they're just as likely, I feel like, as these. Like, I don't know. To me, I guess I kind of get it. Neither of them have had that many wins at these kind of tracks throughout their careers, but they're just so talented. It's like, it's hard to kind of, when you're giving them at value right there, 14-1, I feel like you might have to take it there. Martin Truex, I don't know, 16-1, that doesn't really scream value to me. He typically doesn't, I don't know, he just doesn't seem aggressive enough for this kind of racing, but sometimes these things end up wars of attrition, so I guess you never know, but I'd probably rather him for like to finish top 5 or top 10, but I don't know, I'm just kind of down on Truex this year. I mean, he's getting old. I picked him to miss the playoffs, so I probably won't be recommending too much Martin Truex this year. That's just saying. Bubba Wallace, I think could do well this week there, 18-1. Like it, even though he's Tyler Reddick. I don't know. Tyler Reddick just seems jinxed at these plate tracks. Or Bubba, I don't know. Bubba just seems to know how to play these things right. Even if he's not winning, he usually can bring his car home in one piece. So top 3, top 5 could be intriguing there for him. Ross Chastain, I know he's reckless, but man, at 20-1, that could be a value, man. I think Ross there is someone to watch. He's won here in Atlanta before on this new surface with the high banking and stuff. So Ross there, 20-1. That's one to watch for sure. Also, his top 3, top 5 odds look kind of enticing as well. Eric Jones, I like Eric Jones, but 22-1. It doesn't really seem like a value to me. Chris Buescher is interesting at 25-1. I think that could be interesting in his top 3, top 5 odds. Pretty good. Austin Cindric, Alex Bowman also at 25-1. It could be worth a flyer. I probably wouldn't bet either of them. Ty Gibbs, I was disappointed in his effort last week, so probably going to stay away there at 28-1. Daniel Suarez, 30-1. He showed some flashes last week. Probably not going to take him. No, McDowell there, 35-1. Stenhouse, 40-1. Both of them are capable of these kind of tracks. Corey LaJoy, Austin Dillon also at 40-1. Maybe Corey LaJoy if you're looking for a flyer, but probably would rather his top 3 or top 5 odds there. And then 50-1, got a big cluster there. I feel like all these, finish top 5 could be pretty good there at 6-1. It's Priest, Gregson, John Hunter Nemechek, and Chase Briscoe. I feel like all of them. And then if you're really feeling spicy, 50-1 to win. I mean, just put a buck on it and win 50 if they somehow pull the upset. Although, let's be real, Atlanta isn't quite as wide open as Daytona and Talladega. Typically doesn't end up an upset winner at Atlanta, even with the new kind of surface there. So I'd probably prefer to just play it safe and take them to finish top 5. And here's the rest of the board there. Anyone with odds longer than 50 to 1, probably not worth betting on. Daytona and Talladega are the only tracks that I'd consider taking a ticket on, someone with longer than 50 to 1 odds. So yeah, don't mess with any of these. But let's look at top 10 though. I'd have some value here with top 10. Let's see. I mean, none of the favorites. I mean, you got to pay juice on any one of the favorites to finish top 10, which, I mean, with all the way the wrecks can happen and stuff, probably not smart to bet on any of them. But as we get to the plus odds here, Ty Gibbs, the first driver with plus odds to finish top 10. Corey LaJoie at plus 150 is kind of interesting. I mean, he just seems to always find his way to the front. So I think that's pretty good value. Him and Stenhouse, kind of intriguing there to me at plus 150. All these ones at 2 to 1 seem interesting. Gregson and JHN would probably be the two I like the most there to finish top 10. Then let's see, Hocevar, Josh Berry, 2.5 to 1. Kind of interesting. Gilliland, Zane Smith. Kind of like Zane Smith at 3 to 1. He was my long shot Daytona 500 pick. Didn't really pan out, but I mean, he was there at the end. I think he got a top 20. I don't think they have top 20 odds up yet, but yeah, Zane Smith maybe one to watch there. Gilliland led laps, so all these, I mean, you never know who can finish top 10 of these. But to me, my favorite of the underdogs to finish top 10, y'all, is Harrison Burton at plus 350 there for the Wood Brothers. This is one of my best bets of the week. And you're probably thinking, why would you go with Harrison Burton, Spencer? He ain't showing anything lately. I mean, he's just got wrecked out of Daytona. He struggled last year. What makes you think he's going to be good? But let's be real, y'all. The Wood Brothers, whenever Harrison's not being put in the wall, I mean, they usually give him pretty good cars at these kind of tracks. And I feel like he's someone that in the right circumstances, he could sneak his way into the top 10. So to me, with these odds 3.5 to 1, I feel like he should be more like 2.5 to 1. Like he should be like with Hocevar and Barry. To me, Carson Hocevar having better odds than Harrison Burton is insane to me. I mean, Carson Hocevar hadn't proven anything, or Harrison Burton, I know he hadn't really proven much either, but he's proven, I mean, he's finished top 10 here at Atlanta before, and his team, the Wood Brothers, are much more proven than Hocevar's team, Spire Motorsports. So just taking drivers out of the equation, just looking at the square teams, like to me, Harrison Burton's team is, I mean, if you just take out the name Harrison Burton, you'd probably like, oh, the Wood Brothers, they'd probably be like mid-pack. But I mean, look at this. I mean, he's 4th from the bottom. And the only drivers with worse odds than him are guys that a lot of guys people haven't even heard of. I mean, Kaz Grala's doing like 20-something races with Rick Ware and Josh Williams. He's he's splitting that colleague ride with the Dinger and a bunch of guys. So no, like Harrison Burton has the worst odds among the full-time drivers. Him, Daniel Hemrick, and Justin Haley have the 3 worst odds. And then BJ McLeod's just part-time doing the plate tracks this year. So, I mean, yeah, it's Harrison Burton there. To me, that's a value. That is a value. So here we go. We'll just start our best bets off with him. I'd say for top 10, to me, him and also Noah Gragson. Noah Gragson, to me, at 2 to 1 to finish top 10 is a good play. I mean, I think he could go back-to-back top 10. Yeah, I mean, I think he finished 12th in this race last year with Legacy, who was struggling a lot of the year. So that was one of his few bright spots from last year. So I think Noah could definitely keep the momentum going. So to me, him and Harrison Burton are my 2 favorite plays to get a top 10, because you're getting both of them at plus odds. I mean, obviously, I feel like a lot of these guys, I mean, obviously all more than capable of getting top 10s, but I mean, just you're having to pay juice. So it's like, for example, if I want Joey Logano to finish top 10, I'd have to pay 200 just to win 100. And I mean, that's just not worth it. So anyway, so Gregson and Harrison Burton are my top 10 picks. Let's see here. Top 5. To finish top 5, I am going to go with Bubba. I like Bubba to finish top 5 there, plus 225. Also like Mr. Ross Chastain, plus 250. To me, both of those guys are very strong. They're aggressive. They know how to get to the front. You know, as long as they don't wreck, I think they're good bets to get work their way to the front and finish near the front. So I know Ross kind of went for it, but I think in Atlanta, guys will be a little bit more tame. I mean, let's be real. The trophy at Atlanta isn't as prestigious as the Daytona 500. So it might be a little less going for it as far as, you know, a guy might be more content to just take a top 5 as opposed to being like, I'm just going to try to shoot this hole and hope, in which, I mean, that's what Ross did and ended up wrecked. So you know, I'm not going to just shy away from Ross completely, even though I will admit, I mean, the guys like Keselowski, I mean, he's so aggressive at these kind of tracks. A guy like him kind of has me gun shy, being that I'm just scared that he's going to trigger some big wreck. And then if you do that, I mean, there's a good chance then some other car might, you know, the car you hit might spin the wrong way and then you get taken out in that. So to me, and then Logano's another one. I mean, both of them are really good, really fast at these kind of tracks, but they scare me as far as wanting to bet on them, especially since they're like the favorites. So yeah, Bubba and Chastain are my 2 top 5 plays. As far as top 3, there's guys that could offer value with that, but at this kind of deal, I'm probably just going to only take one winner and one top 3. So I'm going to say for my top 3, which, I mean, either these guys are interchangeable. I mean, if you want to switch it up, feel free. But if I had to pick right now with this board, I think I'll probably take one of the chalk guys here to finish top 3. And I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney. Because like I said, I think they're going to be a little less aggressive. And I feel like Blaney's someone that he's just consistent. Like, he's good no matter the circumstances. Like, he's always up there. Like, he's good about, I've never noticed him causing big ones. I mean, maybe he has in his past. I mean, I feel like every driver has triggered at least one big one in their career, but it's like Blaney is someone that he seems to just be very composed up at the front of these lines. I mean, like, some of these guys, they do a little too much and they just get a little anxious and cause stuff. But Blaney is someone that he's got like around like the Pied Piper, just like the guy that's able to kind of control the field. Him and Logano, I just get nervous about with him causing a wreck and then him getting in a wreck. I feel like I know Blaney's been getting caught up in them, and I mean, it's so hard to predict these kind of things. I mean, if you don't even want to bet on these kind of tracks, I sympathize. I understand, you know, although I gotta say that William Byron spoils from last week were pretty nice. I will be staying away from Byron this week though. So let's figure out. I'm not gonna bet on anyone that did well at Daytona. I'm gonna try to take guys that I feel it's like the stock market. You know, you guys buy low, sell high. So I feel like, you know, some people, you know, say, "Oh, Blaney finished 30 something at Daytona." I was like, "Well, give him to me. I think he could easily get back to finishing top 3 or maybe even win in there, 11-1." Kind of intriguing here, but it's gonna be my pick to win, y'all. And I know I've got the hat on, so y'all might think I'm a homer for this, but I'm going with the KB show, y'all. KFB himself, Kyle Busch at 14-1. This will be my pick to win, y'all. KB, I like him this week. Feel like he's gonna have better fortune. He had tough breaking at Daytona last week, especially with that wheel thing. I mean, he overcame all that though. I mean, he worked his way back to the front. Played it smart with the big one. Still ended up with an okay finish, but I feel like he's someone that was kind of knocking on the door here at Atlanta last year. Had good results, led laps. I think finished 10th in the spring race last year at Atlanta. And, you know, yeah, led laps, finished top 10. So I think he's someone that, with the way RCR's drafting track program is, you know, it's very good. Even though they struggled down the stretch last year, I think Kyle Busch, you know, he started off hot last year. That's another thing. I mean, he started off hot last year, won last season's second race. It was at Auto Club, the now short track, we think. I don't know what's going on over there, but hopefully they do something with that. It'd be a shame to see that track go to waste. But Kyle Busch, though, is someone that I could definitely see winning this thing. He's going to be my pick. I see him starting off hot again this season. And the hope is that he can keep that going all season and not peak too soon. But I think that he wanted Talladega last year, so he definitely has what it takes to run up front of these kind of tracks. He just seems like with RCR, he seems a little more and he's a smart pusher. Right? That's another thing. He's a smart pusher. He doesn't cause wreck. He knows how to keep his nose clean. So I'm going with KB, y'all. Y'all can call me a homer if y'all want since I have the hat on. But hey, I mean, my pick hit last week, Willie B. So I'm 1-for-1. So we'll see if Kyle Busch can help me go 2-for-2. So there y'all go. Atlanta race winner, Kyle Busch. If y'all prefer him, to top 3, 4-1, pretty good value there, I feel like, as well. But I have a good feeling about him this week. I think he's going to be hungry. Kind of like last year. He was really ticked off about not winning Daytona, and he came out with a vengeance in the second race. And I think he's going to do the same this time around. So, because he had a similar thing. I mean, he had a great car at Daytona past 2 years, didn't get the results he wanted. So, yeah, so we'll see if he can have deja vu strike as far as him having success in the second race of the year with RCR. So, all right, y'all. Yeah, that's the Atlanta rundown. That's I think that's all I got for this one, y'all. It was another fun episode. Appreciate all y'all rocking with me. Oh yeah, teams to watch. We'll go over that real quick. Say the teams to watch. You know, the big dog teams. I'd say it would be Penske and RFK with Ford, and then with Chevy, Hendrick, and RCR. They should run up front most of the day. And then JGR for Toyota, obviously, going to be a big factor, I'm sure, here. They didn't pick any JGR guys, though, or any Hendrick guys. Kind of going a little counter here. Didn't take any of the guys from those conglomerate teams here from a betting standpoint or to win. So we'll see if they burn me. But, I mean, Hendrick won last week, so it's hard to repeat at these kind of tracks. So I doubt Byron wins again, but I guess you never know. You truly don't know. Yeah, so I guess you don't know. That's why we're here trying to predict it. But those are obviously the big power teams. Then his sleeper teams, 23-11, Bubba and Reddick. I call them sleepers, but I mean, hell, they're pretty much a power team at this point. I mean, hey, those guys know what they're doing. And then Spire, I think, is a sleeper team to keep an eye on there with LaJoy, Zane Smith, and Husavard. And Stuart Haas, I think, is kind of a sleeper team at this place. I mean, Noah Gragson, we mentioned him, and then Priest, Chase Briscoe, and Josh Berry. One of them could make a push here. Wouldn't shock me. All capable guys there for Stuart Haas. And Legacy Motor Club with Eric Jones, John Hunter Nemechek, and those Toyotas, got to keep an eye on them. I mean, they got top 10s at the 500 last week. They could be up there again, especially Eric Jones. He's won at these kind of tracks before. And then I mentioned Harrison Burton earlier, y'all, the Wood Brothers. Don't sleep on Burton and the Wood Brothers this week. They're going to be out for redemption. They got screwed at the Daytona 500. I mean, couldn't even make it 6 laps without someone else taking them out. I mean, that definitely no fault of Harrison Burton there last week. So, yeah, keep an eye on him and the Wood Brothers. So, yep, that's going to do it, y'all. Appreciate everyone that made it here for this. Really appreciate everyone that's working with us here. Let's pray for no rain. Let's hope for no rain here this weekend. I want to have another Monday race. I want it to be Sunday afternoon, kick back, relaxed, have a good one. Hopefully it does good. So, yeah, to all the listeners out there, y'all have a good one. It's been really fun rocking with y'all. Yeah. Talking NASCAR, y'all. It's a dream come true. It's something I've been wanting to do for many years. So, yeah, this is Spencer Urquhart signing off. And, yeah, I'm going to sign off now, y'all. Peace.